Coach, a competitive affair up until the end with a dry spell at just the wrong time. Your overall thoughts?
I loved our fight and the way we battled tonight. That's a special group in that locker room, and what I told them is that there's no other group that we would rather get on that floor and compete with than that group, and they poured it out tonight. Unfortunately, we came up short. Give Oklahoma credit; they're a tough team, and they played a good, solid all-around game, and it came down to the wire. They made some plays down the stretch.
I know you want to dive into this matchup, but when you look at this season as a whole, do you have a summation yet, or is that something that will come in later days when you have some moments to marinate?
Yeah, I'm gonna allow this to settle in, and after it does, I'm sure I can look at big picture a little bit more. But right now, we're grateful for this opportunity. I'm grateful for the opportunity to go to get on the floor and compete with these guys, but it stings, and sometimes you just got to allow that to happen.
And Willie, does it feel like this series could very easily be tied 2-2, even forgetting Zion not playing, but if guys just play kind of to their typical standards, the ball goes in at a normal clip, do you feel like I said, the series could be a lot more even?
Yeah, shoulda, coulda, woulda. I don't want to get up here and make excuses and take away from Oklahoma and what they did. We battled. It was a tough matchup, and games 1 and then tonight was closer. Games 2 and 3 they pulled away from us, but for sure it could have easily been a series that have been tied. But they were a tough team. They were a tough matchup for us.
And BI has kind of generally struggled since returning from injury, but tonight it seemed like he really just couldn't find his shot, get anything going. What did you see out there?
Well, BI he's coming off of being injured and being away for a month, not being able to play. And then when he does come back, it's in playoff intensity level games. And then we lose Z, who can settle our whole team down. So we put a lot on him. And, he was still trying to find a rhythm, still trying to get, back to where he was. And it was just tough timing.
And Willie, got to finish with a positive. Naji looked like he really produced well. JV, can you talk a little bit about what those guys did tonight?
Yeah, they've been good all season. Naji, his toughness, his grit, guarding guys, making plays, making shots. JV, rebounding. We could throw the ball into him, try to create some offense. So both of those guys were really good tonight. Unfortunately, like I said, we came up short.
I know you mentioned maybe like getting a little more shooting out there. I know Hawkins was in there for a spell.
Yeah. Came
out. Just what did you see in the flow of the game where you decided, okay, maybe you're gonna kind of stick with your normalish rotations?
These are the guys that got us to this point, and they pretty much all earned an opportunity to go out and try to help us carve out a win. We threw Hawk in for a little bit. We created some offense, but at the end of the day, for 4 games, we've struggled offensively. Our defense has kind of held us together, but we just couldn't make the shots that we needed to make.
And it's probably like early to say anything, but just how long does something like this kind of like stick with you into like the off season where you've like had time to fully process it, replay every single possession in your mind and that kind of stuff? Whereas, and then like at what point do you feel like, okay, I've digested all of it?
Yeah. It stays with you for a while. We work our tails off to put ourselves in this position, we had goals to go further, but sometimes this happens and you learn from it. But it's going to take a while for us to process it, feel it, and then like I said, we can look at big picture a bit more after.
Do you feel like sometimes, after you've had that time to think about it, you might need to like unplug, detach yourself, get away, go do something that makes you happy, find your comfort zone before you fully like assess yourself and the team and the job like you guys did over the season?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the healthy thing to do, is to kind of get away for a little bit, allow yourself to feel it and process it. I know we had a really good season, and you can look at the last 3 seasons and see improvement. So we're going in the right direction, but, it's difficult to process and talk about it at this moment, especially after just losing the game.
You guys went up 5 points in the fourth quarter, and then they went on an 18-2 run. What
Yeah.
was the biggest key for them, I guess, in pushing ahead?
They capitalized on some turnovers and honestly some baskets that we just missed that led to transition opportunities for them, and that's the difference in the game. Our margin for error is small. This is a team that turns you over. Last few games, we turned the ball over, and they capitalize on it. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Willie.
when you just look at this series as a whole, why was it just so difficult to consistently put points on the board?
I think this is a good team. I think they've continued to grow throughout the season. Really good defensive identity, great in the half court. I think they're first in forced turnovers, first in points off turnovers, and seeing a little bit of that throughout the series where they go on spurts where they get deflections, cause turnovers, and they take advantage. So I think it's a combination of those things, active guys with length, and then Chet at the rim as a really good protector. I think it was a combination of those things that allowed them to be successful for 4 games.
Yeah, no, man, a little more to that. How much of a deterrent is Holmgren inside?
He's good. He's good, man. He's young. He's athletic. He's smart. He knows how to cat mouse in the pick and rolls. Protects the rim well. Obviously, JB, gave him some fits down there at times, but with his ability to still contest, you always have to be aware of where he's at. He's a tremendous player, and he has a very bright future.
Obviously everything is still fresh right now, but just what's your feel on this season, and just how far you guys are coming, just how it ended?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough because we had such a really good season. Obviously ebbs and flows, a lot of injuries. Guys in and out the lineup. Hey, we get 49 wins. Then have to battle to get into the playoffs, and then obviously Z goes down and. We compete. We have a chance to win game 1. I missed a shot to win game 1, and then, we end up, getting swept. But I thought we competed. I thought we gave ourselves a chance tonight. I think outside of the turnovers and, some of those plays, we were right there. But this is a really good team we played against. Obviously, they were the number 1 seed for a reason, and I was disappointed we weren't able to get at least 1 win. But I think, for us collectively as a group, continuing to be able to play in these types of games, these types of atmospheres, I think it'll pay dividends down the road. But in a series like this, against a team like that with Z out, I had to be great for us to win, and I wasn't great. So I don't think we were going to have a chance under those circumstances.
Yeah, and another tough night for VI. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of talk about him coming out of this series and just the way he performed. I guess what's your view on just, what happened with him during this playoff run and just kind of the response from the team towards him after this game?
Yeah, we got nothing but love for B. B's coming off an injury, thrust into the fire of, high-stake games, high-intensity games against, a world-class defender in Dort. A top 3, top 5 defensive team in the Thunder who they basically gave us fits all season, so it's nothing new. We're playing them in the postseason, but for him, the sky's the limit. He's young, he's talented, he works on his craft. He's dedicated to improving each year, and I'm sure he'll come back better, stronger, obviously healthy, and looking forward to learning from these experiences. As will all of us. It's a learning experience, and I think. Character and growth comes in moments of adversity. So for us collectively, it's about how you respond. How do you respond when things aren't going your way? How do you respond when you're not having the type of success that you feel like you worked for, that you feel like you deserve? How do you get better? And I think for us as a group collectively, it'll be a really good summer of working and figuring out ways to improve and figuring out ways to be better for the upcoming year.
And just like you said, that's a really good team, and they showed how far they've come on both ends of the court. Just getting a chance to match up against those guys in the series. Yeah. What do you see as some of the things this team needs to improve to be able to compete with those elite teams in the West?
Well, we guarded really well. How many points they scored tonight? I don't have a box score. How many points?
I think they were 95.
95, like an Eastern Conference 90s game. The whole series, I think we gave up 105, 106 last game. Obviously the pace is different. It's more of a half-court game in the playoffs. But I think defensively we were great. We gave up a couple of second-chance opportunities. I think the turnovers hurt us. But I thought defensively we were great. As we continue to grow and develop offensively, continuing to get better, playing with pace, playing with space, obviously shooting and making threes. All those things will be helpful and beneficial for us. But I think all in all, we competed, and that's all you can ask for is going out there and competing and, trying to utilize the blessings that God has given you and trying to take advantage. And, for me personally, I worked as hard as I could to prepare like I always do. So I walk away with my head high and understanding that I did all I could do. From a preparation standpoint, obviously, I would like to perform better throughout the series, but it is what it is. Now you move on and you figure out how to get better, and you just, walk away understanding that you did what you were supposed to do from a preparation standpoint to give yourself a chance, and now it's just about growth, and it's about learning from everything that we just went through for these 4 games.
CJ, I know injuries are just a part of it, but how tough is it just not having, how frustrating is it, I guess is a better word?
It's tough. There's no excuses, man. It's unfortunate. You look at what ifs and what it could have been like if we had Z, and then you look at, what the Thunder would be like without Shea, right? Like, but that's not the reality. That wasn't what we went through. So for us, it's about figuring out how to be better. We had enough to compete at a high level, and we didn't consistently, and that was the difference in the game. And I said it throughout the year. We were a good team in spurts, at times creeping towards great, but we weren't healthy enough to really get to see it. And that was a team that was basically great all season. That's why they finished with the #1 seed, and you're able to see glimpses of that throughout the series.
CJ, I'm not sure if you've thought about it yet, and I'm sorry for rehashing a bad memory, but 6 years ago, you were swept by the Pelicans in the first round, but then the following year, the team went all the way to the finals. Do you see any kind of parallels, or can possibly the same thing happen with this team? Like, you have the belief and the talent level, everything is possibly here to make that kind of run, that turnaround?
I mean, a lot of things got to go your way for that to happen, to be honest with you. And, that was a good team that we faced. Situation was different. We were a 3 seed. That was a 6 seed. I think everybody picked us to win. When I was in Portland, we ended up losing. I think everybody picked us to lose this series against the Thunder, if I'm being honest with you. Only probably us felt like we could win this series without Z. So I think the situation was completely different from a timeline standpoint, talent standpoint. I think we have really good pieces and really good players, but in order to make a real playoff run, a lot of things got to go your way health-wise. You got to have a good regular season. You got to be healthy throughout the regular season to win games. You got to execute. Matchups matter. Who you play against in the playoffs matters. Every team is good, but you match up better against certain teams. You match up worse against other teams. So I think there's so many variables that allow for us to have success that season and go to the conference finals. And we ended up losing our big fella that year. Nurk ended up getting hurt. And then Canner went on a really good run that year for us. But you got to have depth, you got to have luck, you got to have injury-free season essentially, and then you got to be able to sustain a high level of play for 82, and then it goes to another level in the playoffs. And you see how the games are being refereed. The last 3 months, you got to be able to put pressure on the rim, figure out how to get free throws when they don't give you free throws. All those things have to happen for you to have success and to make that type of run.
CJ, you Brandon and Zion got some real run this year, finally together.
Yeah.
What did you just think about, what you guys learned about each other's games? How that fit, finally getting a lot of minutes together.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were having success as a team. Obviously, I got hurt early in the season, and then they were playing without me for a while. Then I came back, and then I think, B.I. ended up getting hurt the last month of the season. But I think, when we were whole, as a team, as a roster, I thought that, we had a really good product. We won a lot of games. Obviously, we went on a run down the stretch of the season with B.I. being injured and having to win some must-win games against tough teams, and we were able to figure it out. But I think success it's hard to sustain a high level of success when you're not whole. Like, I think you look at the rest of the league, you take off, some of the top players on some of those teams. You look at the Bucks, hard to sustain a high level of success. You look at the Sixers with Embiid versus without him. You go down the list of, teams that have missed out on, potential playoff runs because of injuries, and it's unfortunate, but it's a part of the game. And I think for us, it's about, focusing on what you can control, which is preparation, which is a mindset, it's a mentality, it's a humility and a sense of understanding that we're fortunate and blessed to be able to play this game, and you want to take full advantage of it while it's here and give it all you got. And I think we have a lot of guys with that mentality, including our staff.
I think a lot of people, around the Pelicans would say Zion made some real steps from December on. How tough was it to see that happen in that context of him, not getting to make his playoff debut?
Yeah, I mean, you never want to see anybody get hurt, and you never want to see anybody go down when they're doing what they're supposed to do consistently. I think that's what was the unfortunate part. He was, making real strides, consistent strides of great, healthy habits, stacking his days, and to go down, right on the peak of, having a chance to be in the playoffs is tough. But I think deep down, from a motivational standpoint, he knows what he needs to do to play at a high level consistently. He knows what his body needs. He knows what his mind needs. And, look forward to seeing, how he continues to evolve as he gets older and, once he gets back healthy.
And obviously, everybody has to go through a level of adversity to get to where you guys are. But I think, it's safe to say B.I. is about to experience something that he hasn't before with, the scrutiny that comes with, a tough playoff series and kind of all of the talk that comes afterwards, especially for guys of that caliber. I guess, what do you what can you speak to about, just what it takes to kind of get through that and get past the noise that's going to come in the next 24, 48 hours and understanding, what has to come ahead for him as he tries to bounce back from this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's twofold. He's got to use the block button for sure. He's got to block people. And then it's just understanding that we hold ourselves to a higher standard than anybody else ever could, in terms of how we want to play, in terms of expectations of ourselves. Like, my expectations of me, his expectations of himself is higher than anything any fan or a person could ever place on him. So from a disappointment standpoint, we're all disappointed. We all feel like we could have done more, could have done better. But we all prepared. And I think that's the sign of, maturity, and the sign of ability to maneuver through, difficult situations is evaluating yourself. Like, what could I have done better? What could I have done differently? And I think for all of us, we would say, we got our work in before practice. We got our work in after practice. We watch film. I watch so many clips. I study the game so much. It's like I poured myself into this game so I can live with whatever results come. Now it's about going back to the drawing board and figuring out how to be better, how to sustain a high level of play throughout the season and carry that into the playoffs. And I'm sure he'll do that. And I think for him, it's just about growth, having a growth mindset, being able to display and show humility and being able to really have a character building moment to where we all have success throughout our career and everybody praises you. How do you handle it when people don't praise you? Do you become a shell of yourself? Do you fall under pressure? Do you forget your work habits? Do you lose your foundation? And I think, for me, I have a great foundation. I have a strong faith and belief in myself and a strong faith and belief in God. And I think when you are, rock solid with your foundation, you never waver. Whether that's criticism, whether that's great nights or bad nights. I'm the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and I think that's just going to be his mentality. And understanding that, it's easy when things are going well, right? Like, when your job's going well, like, everything's great. But how do you treat people? How do you treat yourself? How do you respond when it seems like the world is against you? And I think that's the sign of a great person. And I think he's gonna rise above this and be great going forward.
For Trey and Herb specifically, when you got here 2 years ago, y'all made your first playoff run. They were rookies that year. Just what have you seen from them in terms of growth to their approach from that time as rookies and now it's a little bit more experienced players in their approach this time around in the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Trey was on the scouting report, different than what he was, a few years ago in terms of closeouts, how he's being evaluated by the other team. Trying to take up his space, those types of things. I think defensively he's got better. Obviously the range has continued to increase, comfortability off the bounce, decision making. All of those things have gotten better. For Herb, I mean, I think you've seen the growth throughout the season. He shoots over 40 from three. He turns some weaknesses into strengths, and I think that's the sign of, someone who's sound of mind and body, understanding how you can get better and really working on it and focusing on it. Those guys live in the gym. They love the game, and they're going to continue to grow. They're going to continue to develop and continue to, show signs of improvement in a lot of different areas. Obviously, Herb started off as a really good defender early on, which is rare. Paint finishing improved, decision-making, point-forward style. All those things have improved, and I'm sure, for Trey, his offensive versatility will continue to climb. Paint finishing, the middies, stuff off the bounce will continue to come as he continues to get older and get more reps.
CJ, you're known for being habitual, right? When does the work start for you again? I mean, come off this loss, is a year 11 for you at the end. Like, when do you start the work for year 12?
I think the next few days you decompress. I got the clips in my phone, so I'll watch it. It's the hardest part of the season is watching after it's over. Figuring out what I need to attack. How do I get better at certain things? How am I going to be utilized? What's going to be necessary for us to be successful? Kind of evaluate that, and then I'll sit down with my movement specialist. We'll go through the calendar. We'll have 16 rest days. I'll have some yoga days in between. I'll have some functional movement body days in between, and then we'll get started in. I guess technically we're in May, so we'll start in June. We'll take a calendar month of no basketball, and then we start our ramp up process where we go through the calendar and we pick our days, and we have lift days, we have functional movement days, we have body work days. We have conditioning days, and then, I started to slowly implement basketball. And then we figure out how we want to attack from there. But it's a fun process, looking at the calendar, playing with the dates, start 2-a-days, then you start 3-a-days, then you start 6 days a week, and just kind of go through the process of, what it takes to be successful consistently, what I did last summer that I liked, what I'll add to it, and then, mixing in, quality time with my family, spending time with my wife, my kids, my daughter. I think it's important that you have a balance, especially in this life with what comes with, playing at a high level. And if you don't rest your mind and your body, then you crash. So it'll be a nice, couple weeks of decompressing, working on my mental health and figuring out, what's necessary to be successful, and then doing that and repeating a lot of what I did and then adding stuff, because, that's how you become one of the most consistent types of not only players but types of people.
And CJ, non-basketball related, but what did the being a finalist for the Social Justice Award, what does that kind of mean to you?
And it's a blessing to be, in the mix for something like this, because it's a selfless award. I think a lot of times, in life we're selfish as basketball players, as athletes, and as humans. You think about yourself first. Me. How do I get better? How do I make more money? How do I take care of my family? And for this, it's just about figuring out how to make the world a better place. And I think that's the sign of growth for me, being able to step outside of what's best for me and figuring out how to do things that are best for other people, other communities, people that come from different walks of life, people that are struggling, people that are maybe getting a bad hand or dealt a bad hand, depending on where they grew up at, their upbringing, their situation. So it's a blessing to be in the mix for something like this, and it's a sign that, thinking about how I can do things the right way and thinking about how to make a real lasting impact for the community around me, and a legacy that'll be something I'm proud of when I'm done.
Just, I know I mentioned this earlier this season, but you finished the season having career highs in a number of different areas.
What areas did I finish?
Just, the three-point makes, a lot of defense. I know you put me on the spot again, but you had a great season by all measures. You talked about doing things you liked this summer and what worked. You feel like, just based off the results that you had this season, this could be a little bit of a new baseline just going into the next season, and it's a new jumping point. You can improve upon this. It's a floor now.
I know exactly what I need to do to be successful. I know exactly what I need to do from a conditioning standpoint. I know when I need to start. I know how many times a day I need to work out. I know what I need to eat. I know how much sleep I need to get. I know exactly what needs to be done, and I'm going to do it. And I think for me, it's just about, what does the team need? You need me to catch and shoot threes. I can shoot 43%. I just did that. I think it's about figuring out what the team needs and then going and replicating that. Shooting is something that translates. Shooting is something that's important, obviously. Assist the turnover ratio. Defensively, I'll do more conditioning, more lower body lifting, more lateral quickness, lateral movements. All those things to figure out, how to get better, how to be more consistent throughout a season, how to make sure your body holds up, playing 34 minutes versus 35 versus 40 in the playoffs. So it's just about, following the blueprint and then adjusting the blueprint accordingly based on what's needed.
Do you bring one of the younger guys with you in this journey during the summer?
I talk to a lot of the guys, and, I try not to talk too much as I go through the season, so they don't get tired of hearing me. But they know where I'll be at. They know what I do, and I'll speak to Trey. I'll speak to Hawk. I'll speak to a lot of them about how to kind of plan your summer. I think a lot of times it's trial and error as a young player. Do you start too early? Did you start too late? And I've had 11 years of doing this, so I kind of understand. I've had rehab summers where I'm getting surgeries and kind of figuring it out, and I had summers where I had no injuries. So I just tell them my calendar, this is how I do it. These are how I schedule my workouts. This is, 20 minutes on the court, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. This is when I start my 2-a-days. This is when I start my 3-a-days. These are the days I do conditioning. This is how I plan my life, and it's not for everybody, but it's just to give you a template of what you can kind of replicate based on your lifestyle. Like, I got kids, I'm married. Like, my lifestyle is different than a 23-year-old. So in theory, like, you 23, like, you should be able to, like, if I could work out at 6 a.m., like, you could probably do that too, you know what I mean? So it's just more like just advice. I'm not trying to tell them what to do. I'm trying to tell them what I think is helpful in terms of replicating success. That's also not starting too early. It's a long summer. You don't want to start too early, and then you're dragging when the season starts, or you got injuries, or you got nagging issues because you didn't give your body the proper time to rest and recover. So I just give them whatever they want to know. I'll tell you anything. I worked out with Dame for eight years. I know I don't know what it takes to be a top 75 player. Maybe that's not what you are, but like you can still get the maximum talent of, whatever your ceiling is.
And going back to your time in Portland, you joked with us before about, every season kind of ending with, all right, now's the time to break up CJ and Dame, right? And that was kind of the example of the benefits of continuity and sticking with it, even though a lot of people didn't want to see that. There's going to be a lot of talk coming off of this, about what y'all should do. What do you think about what the future is like for this team and how y'all?
Are you asking me? I get paid a lot of money, but I don't get paid to make those decisions. My job is to get better. My job is to be positive. My job is to be a leader. My job is to empower people. My job is to be consistent with my approach, my work ethic, with my thoughts. My job is not to do those types of things and to handle those types of decisions. So I have no comments on that. I think, it's about whatever the team feels is best. And I think for us, we understand the business. The business is what it is, and there's a lot of factors that dictate, change within an organization and when there's not change within an organization. And as a 32-year-old, father and husband, you master the importance of staying in your lane. And I'm going to stay in my lane. Have a good one, man. Good summer.
Hey, Brandon, I know you probably didn't want to talk about it during the series. When you came down your left knee, it didn't look great. I mean, how much did that impact you in terms of just movement, explosiveness, that type of thing?
I played. I don't think it's a great time to make excuses about my physical appearance or how I felt out there. I played and just came up short. Wasn't able to catch a rhythm. Maybe it was due to my body, but I was out there and I was trying to play aggressive, trying to get my teammates involved and do everything I could to be the best that I could be.
And just, that when you look at that series as a whole, what do you feel like the Thunder did to just make it really difficult on y'all to score?
Well, they had good game plan. They wanted to take the ball out of our scorers' hands and make other people make decisions, whether it was them scoring the basketball or them making paint decisions and kicking the ball out. And they did a good job. We found some success in punching the ball down to JV a little bit. We knew he had a mismatch. Naji came up big for us tonight to bring us a spark. He was been pretty good throughout this whole series, but we were never able to catch a rhythm throughout this series. And I think he did a good job on the defensive end. On the offensive end, they were diligent about what they were doing, getting mismatches on the offensive end, attacking the basket. They were in rhythm, knocking down threes. And we've seen a lot of players grow on their team in this playoff, so hats off to them.
And how bad you wanted this one, how bad the team wanted this one, how tough was it just to have a night like this where just the shots weren't falling and you were struggling to get it going throughout?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. At the end of the game, you always know it's a possibility that we could have went home tonight, but it's still sitting in that locker room is like, damn, this is our last day. You could tell everybody felt that this is probably everybody was just sitting in the locker room just with their jersey on and their shorts on for about an hour, 30 minutes to an hour, just thinking about the season. And but that one it hurt.
And just thinking about the season as a whole, just knowing the success y'all had throughout, and then seeing the way it ended, I guess what's your feeling about how this season went, and knowing what the potential was, and ultimately how it ended.
Well, we know throughout this whole season we've been pretty resilient with injuries. The guys stepping up in different roles, different nights. We definitely let a couple drop on different nights. We had some nights where we executed really, really well, and we showed growth on the defensive end for sure. I think we were top 10 in defense this year, and we know that can get a lot better. But we have a lot of things to work on to become who we want to become, and I think we start communicating now. Of course, everybody's going to take a break and go back and be with their families and be away and rest the bodies. But I think our communication got to start pretty soon on who we want to be and what we want to be.
And throughout the past few years, a lot of the talk was, well, what would it look like if these guys were all finally healthy and got to play together? And y'all got to see that for long stretches this year. Obviously, it didn't end with y'all being able to sustain that.
Right.
But just thinking back to when y'all were able to put everybody on the floor, what's your feel about how good this team is and what y'all are able to do? If y'all are able to put all the guys on the floor together.
Well, we're talented. Individually, we're talented. CJ, myself, Zion, Trey, Naji. JV. We got a lot of guys that's talented. We gotta put it together. We gotta be connected. We gotta know at certain points of the game. We gotta know who's hot. We gotta know where to get people to basketball. We gotta know every single thing about each other and how to make each other tick. You know, we gotta communicate a little bit more. We can do a lot of things a lot better. I think this year we just showed our talent, and we were able to get by with it sometimes. I think as players we gotta communicate better. I think player to coach we gotta communicate better. Everybody gotta be better, and it starts with myself.
Brett, just how surprised are you that the offense just never could get it going in this series? Are you surprised by that?
I don't know if the word is surprise. I just, you know, I wish we could have adjusted better, for sure. But I definitely wish we could have adjusted better.
Yeah, you mentioned Naji earlier. What did you think of the impact that he made throughout the course of the season, and how effective your guys' bench was?
Well, he's actually, but in a couple games, just turned the whole game around when he comes in on the defensive end and pushing it out. You know, on the offensive end, he got a really, really good IQ where he can see stuff on the floor that a lot of our guys can't see on the floor. He can make passes. He can make and take good shots, and he can actually run a team with him being out there. And he has an urgency to guard the best player on the floor and to guard him well. So he was impactful. He was impactful every time that he stepped on the floor, and he made our team better.
It seemed like him and the whole bench was huge in the game a week or so ago when you beat Sacramento to get in the playoffs. What did you think of Jose's impact this season, especially it seemed like he made a big jump during the regular season in three-point shooting, for example?
Well, you know, I think Jose got a tag on his back where when he comes in the game, you know that the game's going to turn around. On the defensive end, for sure, him standing in front of the basketball and him coming down, and, you know, he's added a transition pull-up. He's added a catch-and-shoot three where he's confident in knocking that down. And that's what he's been all season. He has some injuries closer to the end of the season, and, you know, it got him out of rhythm for the playoffs and a couple games before the playoffs. But overall, I think, you know, that's the heart in our locker room. When everything not going well, he's not afraid to speak up. He's not afraid to put his body out there. And when the lights was on, in some of the biggest moments, he was there.
Speaking of Jose, just we saw in the locker room after the game, he was with you, just I guess talking you up. Just what can you share about the message that he had for you after the game?
He wanted to be better. I think that's the most simple way that I can put it. You know, I think at the moments like this, you start reflecting and think about everything that you did over the course of the season, what you could have did better, what you did wrong, and you know he was down on himself, as we all are. But you know you can feel his energy more than anybody because he's full of life every time that you see him, and he was just down on himself. He's motivated. He wanna be better, and I believe that he will be.
Obviously, it's gonna take some time to process all this, and you probably gonna just take some time. But like, what does your summer look like, and how, what are you hoping to accomplish out of the summer?
My summer, my summer is, going to take a break a little bit, get my body together, get my mind together, and then and really get my mind together. Start working out and figure out everything that I need to work on to even when coming back from injury or anything that's going on, that I won't have a playoff series like this. You know, I think just every summer I've been motivated. I'll be honest. This is from USA up to this season is probably the most the worst that I've been in the New Orleans Pelicans uniform. And I'm motivated by that. You know, I can go back and I can blame coaches, I can blame everybody else but myself, but, you know, I got to go look myself in the mirror and tell myself what I really need to do. How can I help this team? How can I help the coaches? And how do I get the fans of New Orleans to believe in us again? And you know, that's my job, that's my task. So that's what I'll be thinking about over the summer. Going to get my mental together, going to get my body together, and coming back and try to, you know, just leave it all on the line. If I go do that and you know, I come up short or if I win the whole thing, I know I did everything I could this summer and throughout the season to be who I want to be.
Do you have like specific things you want to try to improve in mind or anything like that right now?
You know, I heard Jose say it. I just want to be, you know, comfortable being uncomfortable. I don't have any specifics, but I want somebody around me that's gonna push me. I don't want nobody around me that's gonna be a yes man to me. I want somebody to tell me exactly what it is, and I just want to go work. I just want to go work and be a better version of myself.
You have 1 year left in your deal with the Pelicans. You've been here 5 years. What do you think about just the likelihood of getting something done and staying here, you know, long term?
You know, I don't know. That's not in the front of my mind right now. I love the city of New Orleans. This is a place where I got my first All-Star, where they let me be myself. I got good relationships around here, but you know, you never know. I take a few weeks off and think about what's best for me, what's best for my family, and take it from there. But you know, no matter what, I got a lot of love for the city of New Orleans, for the fans. They did nothing but treat me right, and you know, there's some unfinished business here. So, you know, you never know.
Yeah, you said starting with Team USA experience to now, this was your worst season, I guess, here in New Orleans. Can you point to what kind of weighed down on you? Maybe give some examples on what you felt like kind of either held you back or made things so tough.
I can't pinpoint one thing. I don't know. You know, over the course of everything, just maybe just never got to being myself through the whole thing. I know I came here and said the other day during my injury, I've had spurts of feeling like myself, but you know, I didn't feel like it was consistent nights of being myself and feeling good every single night. I know I'm not gonna feel good every single night, and I'm not gonna shoot well every single night. But it was just, you know, I didn't come around to just being completely me. And you know, as one of the team leaders and the best player on the floor most nights, I can't let that happen.
And throughout your time here, we talked a lot about, you know, you just growing and learning how to step into this role and be one of the guys on the team and learning how to deal with everything that comes with that. Can you just kind of walk us through what's it like for you kind of learning how to deal with scrutiny and everything that's going to come with this series and people talking about you and the way you played and all of that, and how you kind of just mentally go through that process of dealing with that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I understand the generation that we in. And you know, I'm not the person that's gonna go look on Twitter or Instagram and search my name and think about all the bullshit that somebody got to say about me. I'm gonna go on my Instagram to look at stuff that I'm interested in. Two, nobody is more motivated or more mad than I am about where I am right now, and what happened throughout this playoffs, what happened before the playoffs, what happened throughout the season. No more. I mean, nobody is nobody got to go home and live with that every single day. So the scrutiny, I mean, to a certain extent, if I see it, maybe it brings motivation. But I got everything I need. This is the game I love. Most of the people that's writing stuff about me or saying stuff about me don't know me personally. But this is the game I love. And you know, this is my story. What happened is gonna fuel me to be better. I always remember this moment. I remember everything that's going on right now and everything that went on throughout the season. And it can only make me better. So I'm not worried about I ain't worried about what nobody gonna say to me, because it's gonna be online. Ain't nobody gonna say nothing. Ain't nobody gonna come to me and be like, you trash. No, I don't even play like that. So it is what it is. I'm gonna go get better myself, because I understand. I can look in the mirror and be like, yo, you want shit. I can do the same thing they doing. But it's probably a bit different between the person that's saying that behind that computer and me. Like, I'm gonna go work for it. I got money. I got a family. I got people that I love and care about. You know, it's probably a bit different.
All right, thanks, man.
Appreciate it.